Okay, I have added some more sketches, or you can say the diagram. So let us watch this first. So this is the grab and bucket type conveyor. In the previous class, we have seen this its line diagram, that the different components of this grab bucket. Now in this lecture, you can see there is one photograph. Okay, this is the crane. This is the structure, or you can say the foundation. So this is the extension of arm. Okay, so the wires uh, are supported in these arms, and the motion of this grab bucket is being controlled with the help of these wires. Okay, so in the say magnified view, the your grab bucket will be like this. Okay, next is the screw conveyors. Okay, so we have seen this working of this conveyor. Say the at one end the coal will be inserted, then this screw conveyors is the screws kind of mechanism are there, blades are there, supported by a shaft. Okay, so by the electric motor or any prime mover we are rotating this shaft. Okay, and by the motion the coal, so fuel, will be moved in this direction, say from left to right, and ultimately it will be discharged to another end. Okay, so if you want to see the pictorial view, it will look like this. Okay, your conveyor will look like this. See, this is the bale conveyor. Okay, this is the layout or a section of the bale conveyor, and this is the photograph of a typical bale conveyor. You can see the end rollers, so left hand side and right hand side. These rollers are at some angle. Okay, to cover this, to give the curve to this blade, so that the coal will be collected say safely. Say it cannot be move away from this envelope. Okay, so this is the bucket type conveyor. Okay, we want to move this coal from the floor, the ground level, to some height. Okay, so the coal will be fitted inside the bucket, and these are two rollers by means of which this bucket conveyor will move like this. Okay, say in the clockwise direction. Okay, this coal will be released at some point of time at the required place, and we can have the motion of this fuel like this. So this is the pictorial view, a photograph, okay, of this kind of conveyor, and this is the section of bucket conveyor. So this is the hoist, skip hoist. Okay, we want to store the coal or the fuel in this container, or you can say bin. It will be moved in the upward direction. Okay, with the help of motor. Okay, the chain will be there. Two sprockets will be there to support this movement. Okay, ultimately this bin will move in the upward direction. Then it will be turned down, so that our coal can be moved at some required height. Okay, this is the scraper conveyor. Okay, in scraper conveyor, say the plate like thing is supported by this chain driving mechanism. Okay, suppose there is a coal over here. Okay, in this passage there is a coal or say fuel, and this conveyor is moving in this direction, say in this direction. So whatever fuel is there, coal is there, will be moved, okay, at the place where we need. So this is the scraper conveyor. Okay, this is the coal preparation plant. This we have seen in the previous class. Okay, how this coal is being prepared. This is the crusher. Now let us continue with the fuel burning system. Okay, the fuel, when it burns, okay, it is in the confined space, and that space is known as furnace. Okay, in furnace we want to maintain required parameters to provide the complete combustion of the fuel, the efficient combustion of the fuel, and these parameters governed by these principles. This is called MATT, and this M means the mixing of air and fuel. Okay, we will ensure that this mixing of air and fuel will be proper and turbulent in nature, so that the maximum area is exposed to these uh, heat transfer process. Okay, the second one is the air and fuel ratio. Yes, we need to have the perfect proportion of air and fuel, okay, to have the effective reaction between these two and have the efficient combustion process. The third one is the temperature. Okay, this temperature of the flame, okay, we must ensure this temperature of the flame is uh, high enough, okay, to have the better heat transfer between these gases, two gases, and the water, okay, the surface of boiler. And of course we want to ensure the enough time of this burning process. Okay, we want to ensure the enough time for the burning process, otherwise there will be a chance for the incomplete combustion. Okay, if we provide lesser time, then the combustion process won't be completed, and it is called the incomplete combustion, and some type of some part of the fuel will be left unburnt. Okay, and it will reduce the combustion efficiency. Okay, and it will increase the wastage also. Okay, so we need to ensure this mixing of air and fuel, and we will need this turbulent mixing of both this air and fuel. Then we want to maintain the air fuel ratio for the effective reaction. Okay, depends upon the requirement. Okay, we can change this air and fuel ratio. For that, different mechanisms are available that we will see in the upcoming slides. And yes, we want the maximum possible temperature of the flame for the proper heat transfer. Okay, effective heat transfer. Yes, and also we need the enough time for the complete burning process. To accommodate these all principle, all parameters, we need a good fuel firing system. Okay, and what is the function of this fuel firing system? It will introduce the fuel and air for the combustion. Okay, the first part. Okay, first part, it will introduce the fuel and air for the combustion. Then it will provide the mixing of these reactants. These air and fuel are nothing but the reactants which will participate in the combustion process. Then it will ignite the combustible mixture and distribute the flame envelope. Okay, after the combustion, the flame is being propagated, and this flame envelope will be distributed properly throughout this furnace area. Okay, this envelope and the product of combustion will be distributed effectively in this boiler. So next is the types of furnaces. So what kind of furnaces are being used for this combustion? The first one is called the grate fired furnaces. Grate means you can say platform like arrangement. Okay, these grate fired furnaces are generally used for burning the solid fuels. Okay, this bed or this platform may be stationary or movable depending upon the requirement and depending upon the construction. Okay, so there are three kind of mechanism. The first one is called hand fire, or we can fire the fuel with the help of our hands, with the help of shovels. Okay, so these are generally the stationary kind of fire gates. It is immovable. The second one is semi mechanized with stationary fire gates, and the third one is stalker fired. This in the category of, you can say, traveling grades. Okay, so the grades or platform where the combustion takes place is traveling. It's it is changing its position. That is what we can say. Okay, so your grades are traveling in nature. Okay, in moving nature. The second one is the chamber fired furnaces. These are basically used for the pulverized fuel combustion. Okay, it burns the fuel in its powder form. Okay, so it can burn liquid, solid, and gaseous fuels. Okay, now we want to classify these solid fuel firing mechanism methods. So basically there are three methods. The first one is this hand firing. Okay, second one is the stalker, or you can say a mechanical firing. Okay, and the third one is called pulverized fuel firing system. In hand firing, we will provide this coal with the help of our hand and shovels inside the furnace. Okay, it is one of the most simplest method, least costlier, but most inefficient method also. Okay, So it can be used for smaller number of plants, a smaller size of the plant. Okay, where we don't need much of steam generating capacity. Okay, and we need the simplest kind of firing methods. Okay, this is the stalker or mechanical firing. In this one, our fuel bed is moving. Okay, there are two categories, overfeed and underfeed. We will see this overfeed and underfeed mechanism, the difference between these two, overfeed and underfeed stalkers. Okay, in overfeed we are having the chain grade type, traveling grade type, and spreader type stalkers. And in case of underfeed, we are having the single rotor and multi-rotor stalkers. Okay, the third one, that is the pulverized fuel firing. It is the most important and most famous type of fuel firing system nowadays. Okay, so there are two methods for firing this fuel. The first one is called the unit system, and the second one is central system. In between these two, the unit system is most famous. Okay, for the pulverized fuel firing. Now let us see the comparison of fuel firing methods. I think we should see this comparison at the end of having the better understanding of the different kind of stalkers and pulverized fuel firing. We will see after the end of this pulverized firing systems. Okay, so we will be in better position to understand this comparison. Depends upon the different parameters and criteria. So let us start with the stalkers, overfeed and underfeed stalkers. Okay, let us start with this overfeed stalker, the working principle of this overfeed stalkers. Now, say in this one, if you observe, you have this foundation or say fuel bed. This is called grate. Okay, this grate is having the number of holes from which the air will be supplied. Okay, or air will be supplied from these holes. Let me erase this. Yes. So these are the holes from which the air will be supplied. Okay, and your fuel will be moving in this direction. The fuel will be moving in this direction, and your air will be moving in this direction. So you can say the opposite movement of air and fuel in case of overfeed stalkers. In case of underfeed stalkers, your fuel will be also moving in this direction. Okay, from bottom to top fuel, and air is also moving in this direction, same direction from bottom to top. So you have the same direction of air and fuel in case of this underfeed stalker. Now let us start with this overfeed stalker. What will happen? Okay, suppose from the grate we are supplying the primary air, which will be containing some part of the moisture, that is H2O, and we are having the coal from the say this top part. Okay, top compartment. This coal will be fed with the help of this coal hoopers. Okay, so now this is your flame. Okay, this is the green coal, or you can say the green coal means raw coal. Okay, then this is called incandescent coal. Incandescent coal, that means illuminated coke. Okay, so it is after the burning, it will be going to be converted into the ash. Okay, so let us start the process. Let us start understanding the process. Okay, here you will have the primary air. Okay, when this primary air will come into the contact of this incandescent coke, we will be having the formation of carbon dioxide, nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, if this layer of this incandescent coke is more than the pre-decided thickness, say that is around 3 to 4 centimeter, then there will be a chance to generate this carbon monoxide. Okay, which is a big pollutant. It is not good for the health of the human beings. Okay, now how this carbon dioxide will be formed? Okay, we all know there will be a carbon inside the coke. Okay, the carbon will react with this oxygen, okay, of the air, okay, and we will have this carbon dioxide. Okay, the further motion from this incandescent coke and green coke, we will have the volatile matters, okay, volatile particles of the coke. Okay, these volatile will particle, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen and hydrogen, further move in the upward direction. Okay, then we will have the secondary air. So this is called primary air and this is called secondary air. Okay, observe carefully. This is your primary air, okay, and this is your secondary air. So primary air will be provided from the bottom end, and this secondary air will be provided, okay, to complete the combustion process, to complete the reaction between this carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen, and your volatile matters. Okay, so after this, you will have the good amount of heat energy. Okay, because this carbon and oxygen and this carbon and oxygen will combine together and will form carbon dioxide. This is exothermic reaction, so it will release a good amount of heat. Okay, so heat will be generated and here you will be having the flame, and this heat will be supplied to this boiler, okay, to generate the steam. So this is generally used for the a large capacity boiler without the polarization. Okay, a relatively wide variety of coal can be burned, and most importantly, these overfeed stokers are well suited for the steady demand of power, where you there is not much change in the steam generation rate. Okay, let us see the principle of underfeed stockers. Here, as I said, the fuel is supplied from the bottom part, okay, along with the air. Okay, as you can see, these kind of small holes are there, which is known as tuyers. These tuyers are nothing but some kind of nozzles from which we can supply high velocity of air. So this coal, okay, so green coal at the bottom over here, see green coal at the top just below the flame. Here this green coal is at the bottom, then incandescent coke, then your ash, and this is your flame. Okay, so primary air with some moisture particle H2 will be supplied over here. Okay, then you will have over here in the in this say you can say uh, distal region, you will have the volatile matter now and carbon monoxide if the combustion is not proper, and carbon dioxide, nitrogen and hydrogen. So these volatile matters, okay, of the coal along with your carbon dioxide will have the exposure to the secondary air to complete the combustion process. Okay, to complete the combustion process, and you will have a large amount of heat release. You will have this flame over here, and this heat can be supplied to the part of heat transfer area for the boiler shell, or you can say your superheater and economizer and preheater. So these flue gases will move in this direction. Okay, it will move in this direction for the further processes. So this is the principle of stockers, overfeed and underfeed. Let us revise this overfeed and underfeed. In overfeed, coal moves from top to bottom and your primary air moves from bottom to top. So the direction of the movement of the fuel and air is opposite. In case of underfeed, both air and fuel moves from bottom to top direction. Okay, so your air will move in this direction and your coal will move in this direction. Yeah. Let us start with the first one. First overfit stalker. This is called chain grade stalker. This chain grade and this traveling grade, both of them are known as conveyor stalker because it is used to transport your coal. Okay, let us start. Let us start with this diagram. Okay, here your fuel will be supplied from here. Fuel will be supplied from here with the help of coal hooper. Okay, you can see there are two rollers, two shafts over here on which these sprockets are being mounted. Okay, these sprocket and the shaft are moved with the help of electric motor or any kind of prime mover uh, at the speed required for this complete combustion process. Okay, so let us assume that this is the movement for this particular arrangement from left to right. Okay, we will have this coal from the coal hopper. Okay, in this passage, okay, we are having some holes, ports to supply the air. Okay, and from here there will be primary air injection. So primary air will be supplied from these kind of passages from both the side. Okay, this side as well, in behind this, that side also. Okay, so the air will be provided, and here you will having the fuel, you will have the combustion, and the combustible gases can travel in this direction for the further processing. Okay, the after the combustion, the ash will be collected here somewhere in the ash bins. Okay, here we are having the arrangement. In the ash bins, this burnt ash will be collected. Okay, so the capacity or so the speed of this rocket, the travel of this chain depends upon the required rate of combustion. Okay, the required rate of steam. Okay, see, this is the pictorial view. As you can see, this is the chains. Okay, these are connected with the help of a single bar. Okay, in the transverse direction, one connection is over here. The second connection will be at the second part. Okay, this is driven by these sprockets. Okay, here you will have the gearbox like thing. So in this picture also you can see this will be the movement. So somewhere here you will have the coal hooper, and over here you will have the burning of the fuel, and then your ash will be collected in the ash pits. Okay, so this is the chain grade stopper. The next one is the traveling gate or say bar grade stoker. The construction of this stoker is same. Okay, in the examination also, if you are being asked to explain this traveling grade chain, say bar grade stokers, you need to replace this nomenclature over here. Here you need to write down the traveling grade. Okay, traveling grade, or you can say the bar type grade, whatever is being asked. Okay. Otherwise, the complete construction and working remains same. Expect your grade. Okay, over here, as you can compare, we are having the plates. Can you see this? We are having this kind of plates in place of this chain. Okay, of course these plates are being supported by the chain. The chain is moving like this. Okay, or above the chain these plates are being supported. See, you can have a larger look over here. Here your grid is divided in three parts. Okay, and you can see this hole also. If you want to see the bottom side view for this your plates, say you can have the arrangement like this is the chain. Okay, this is the chain, and this is this is your plates. Okay, over which your fuel is going to burn. Okay, inside also you can observe there are small holes are there. Okay, these are some holes. The purpose of these holes is to provide the primary air for the combustion. So I think all of you are clear with this overfeed stockers, particularly chain grade and this traveling grade. Okay, here you are having the chain. Okay, please observe carefully. Here you are having this chain. Okay, and over here you are having this kind of plates, or you can say bars. Otherwise, the whole working of this overfeed stocker is going to be same. The last one in the category of this overfit stalker is the spreader stalker. Now its name is spreader. in some literature it is also known as distributor stalker. Now how it will work? Okay, here you will be having the coal from the coal hooper. Here you will have the feeder. Okay, feeder will be having some definite number of blades over here. Okay, at some pre-decided angles. Okay, and over it will use to cross or to reduce the particle size of the coal. After that, you will have the spreader. This crushed coal will move to this spreader, or you can say distributor, having the number of blades at different angles. Okay, these speed of the spreader and the feeder and the inclination of the angle of this blade depends upon the rate of which we want to burn the fuel. Okay, the rate of which we want the steam generation will happen. Now the function of this feeder, okay, the feeder will crush the fuel particle and will manage the rate of coal transfer, okay, for the furnace. And this spreader is going to spread this fuel inside this burning area, okay, this area, equally distribute the coal in these areas. So the coal has the maximum area for the combustion, okay, and heat will be equally distributed. After this coal will be collected, fuel will be collected on this bed, that is your grate. Okay, you are having the air duct from which your air is going to be supplied. Okay, this air will react with this fuel as the principle we have seen in the overfit stalkers. We were having the different gases, and to have the complete combustion of these gases we will provide the secondary air from here. Okay, so this is nothing but your secondary air. This is your secondary air, and this is your primary air. After the end of the combustion process, okay, the ash will be collected in this ash pit. Ash will be collected in this ash pit, okay, and then we can uh, remove the ash. Okay, we can remove the ash. So this is how this spreader stalker works. Okay, as said, the rate of uh, combustion and the rate of steam generation will govern the speed of the spreader and the angle of this spreader, because it have the different size of, even if you have the different size of coal particles, okay, the spreading will be different. Okay, so the next one is the underfeed stalkers. Okay, so we'll start with the single retort. Okay, in case of the single retort, say retort means this kind of passage. Okay, the bins like thing, okay, turf like thing. We are having in case of this single retort, we are having a single retort from which we will feed the fuel. Okay, as we have seen in the underfeed principle, fuel, and then you will having the incandescent coke, illuminated coke, then you will having the ash, and then you will have the flame. Okay, the ash will be collected in the ash pit from, say, both the side, or say from the perimeter. Okay, here you will having the air tuyers, okay, the air nozzles to provide this air. Okay, and from here, as I said, you will have the fresh coal entry. Okay, so this is how your single retort works. Now, to provide the continuous supply of this coal, say this kind of mechanism are there. Say there will be a steam cylinder, or you can have a hydraulic cylinder, okay, which will be driven by the steam engine, or say any other prime mover, say diesel engine or say electric motor. So this is a ram like arrangement which will continuously push your coal. Okay, and then this coal will be supplied to this great platform, and you will have the combustion process as per the principle of underfeed stalkers. Okay, so this is all about underfeed stalkers. Now the next one is the multi-retort stalker. Okay, multi-retort, as you can see in this diagram, you are having more than one retort. Okay, more than one retort over here, over here, over here, and here. Okay, these retort are powered by, or say they are moved by this stalker arm. Okay, this stalker arm will govern the linkage mechanism. Okay, and you will have, let me show with the another color, you will have this kind of movement. Okay, left to right, reciprocating movement of this retort. Okay, so the even distribution of coal is being verified by the motion of this retort. Okay, so your coal will move in this direction, then obviously you will have the distillation zone and incandescent zone. Okay, and you are having these two years over here. This is your wind box. Okay, this is your wind box. We will having the high velocity air from the forced draft fan, and this air will be supplied to this stalker, this furnace. Now to control the movement of this air, we are having the damper. Observe this. This is the damper to control the velocity, okay, or so you can say the mass flow rate of the air. Okay, so this is all your air duct. Okay, so your burning will be governed by this amount of air and the amount of coal. Okay, of course here you will also have the coal hooper, it's not shown in this figure. Okay, so your combustion will take place as per the principle of underfeed stalkers in this multi-retort, and ultimately the afterburn or so ash will be collected in the ash pit somewhere over here. Okay, this angle of retort is generally 20 to 30 degrees. Okay, and also it will depend upon the quality of fuel. Okay, which kind of coal is being used, what is the particle size of the coal that you are feeding. Okay, now there are some critical points, some comments regarding this stoker firing system. The stoker firing is limited to say very relatively very low capacity of steam generation in the range of say up to 50 kg per second. Because of its lower efficiency, and there will be a good amount of plant size because of this stoker mechanism. Okay, so physical size of stoker will be very high if you cross this steam generating uh, rate. Okay, for say, however, for this size, okay, this range, the stokers remain yet very important in steam generation system. Okay, but beyond the certain size of the boiler, the stalkers are generally impracticable. Okay, and you can say uneconomical. Okay, impracticable and uneconomical to use because it will increase the floor area and boiler house cost. So in the modern high pressure boiler, okay, the people are using the or adopting the pulverized coal firing system, okay, through the burners. So the boiler houses tend to grow vertically upward in place of horizontally, as in the previous days. So let us start with the pulverized fuel firing. Okay, in pulverized fuel firing, as I said, the coal is converted into the powdered form. Okay, then it will be discharged into the combustor chamber with the help of the air. The main purpose of this pulverizing process, okay, to convert this coal into the pulverized form, powder form, to increase the surface area of exposure to the combustion process, which will result the faster and efficient combustion. Okay, this is the most important thing relatively as compared to the stoker firing processes. Okay, you will have the faster and efficient combustion of the fuel. Okay, so as in the stoker firing, you will require the secondary air to complete the combustion of fuel. Okay, and you will have the primary air. Okay, to bring this pulverized coal. Okay, you need to bring this pulverized coal inside the combustion chamber, and that air is known as priming air or say primary air. Okay, primary air or priming air, which is used to bring this coal inside the combustion chamber, and to complete the combustion process it will require the secondary air. Okay, so the secondary air is used to complete the combustion process. These pulverized fuel firing system or say pulverized boilers are used for large scale power plant. Okay, and the choice of pulverized fuel firing system depends upon the size, obviously, the size of the plant, and the type of coal available. Okay, there are different kind of coal available. We know that we can have the lignite, we can have the bituminous, semi-bituminous, we can have the anthracite. So depending upon the type of coal, we can have this pulverized fuel firing system. Okay, the cost of coal, type of load, fluctuating or constant load factors, and the availability of trained person. You will need the skilled personnel to operate these pulverized fuel firing system. Okay, and yes, it is not economical for the smaller capacity thermal power plant. So what are the advantages and limitation of this pulverized fuel firing system? The most important advantage that these low grade, say practically any kind of fuel is can be burned with the help of this pulverized fuel firing system. Any kind of coal, okay, low grade fuel coal can also be burned with the help of this pulverized fuel firing system. Next, you can have the greater amount of surface area exposed for the combustion process, okay, for the faster and efficient combustion. Okay, the system is free from clinker and slagging troubles. See, in the say Stoker furnaces, there is one problem associated with each is called the clinker and slag formation. The clinker is nothing but you can say a kind of solid stone-like thing, which is resulted with the because of the chemical reaction occurring inside the furnace. Okay, there are some minerals within the coal, say some sodium, potassium, and calcium will be there along with the coal. And this coal, when ignite, it will react with the air, okay, and water vapor, and it will be converted into some kind of solid particle after the after it gets colder. This is called clinker, and some kind of molten ash is going to be stick with the furnace walls, or you can say boiler tubes, and this is called slagging. Okay, this is called slag and slagging and clinker. These are the inherent problem with the help of the Stoker furnace. And in case of this pulverized fuel firing system, you can eliminate these troubles. Okay, so this is one of the most important advantages for the pulverized fuel firing system. Okay, now obviously the control of the combustion is very easy, and hence the system gives the fast response for the load changes. Okay, so as we have discussed, particularly in case of these overfit stalkers, it is most suitable for the say a constant load carrying condition. We have seen this. Okay, so for the constant load condition, the stalkers are good, these are suitable. But if we are having the fluctuating in load, okay, steam generation rate, electrical power, okay, so we need to have this pulverized fuel firing system. Okay, so again we have the preheated secondary air up to 350 degrees centigrade, so it can have the rapid flame propagation and faster heat supply to the boiler. Okay, so heat supply is quick, heat transfer rate is very high. Okay, so obviously it have the higher rate of heat release, very high rate of heat release, and the boiler can be started from the coal very quickly also. Okay, usually in case of this pulverized fuel firing, the combustion is complete, so we can say the smokeless combustion will be there. Okay, and obviously the pressure losses and draft requirement, since the pressure losses are less, the draft requirement will be lesser in case of this pulverized fuel firing system. And there are also some limitation with this system. Yes, you need to pulverize the coal, so you need to have the pulverizing mechanism. You have the mills to convert this coal into the powder form, so you can have the additional equipments and the cost will be higher. Okay, the operational and maintenance cost is also very high. Okay, and you will have the fly ash, so you need to some mechanism equipments like electrostatic precipitator to say remove the particle from it to minimize the environmental effect from the burning of this pulverized form. Okay, there are some chances of explosion because all the system it works on high pressure. Okay, powder form like the gas. Okay, and of course you need the skilled workers for the safe operation and the maintenance of the system. Okay, so these are the different kind of pulverized fuel firing system. We will see this different system in the next class tomorrow. So I stop here, and if you have any doubts you can post it on our Academy. Yes, Stage, is there any problem with the code today?